Charlie Kirk was shot at an event at Utah Valley State University. This was a massive event. It was where he holds court on campus, answers all sorts of questions. He particularly likes to hear from the left. It gets a huge response. It's gotten a lot of national coverage. It was even recently satirized on South Park recently. And shots rung out. There is some very disturbing video online. It looks as though Charlie was hit in the neck. And at least one time, I don't know any, I've not seen a report to the contrary. He was whisked away very quickly. There is someone apparently in custody. We don't know anything about that individual, and we'll continue to give you updates on both Charlie's health and both what could have gone wrong to allow for this to happen. And then, of course, we'll take some time to reflect on what's happened in this country, where there has been a rush to demonize speech, to make speech violence. And we are so gone from the era of where sticks and stones can break my bones, but names can never hurt me, which was what was repeated constantly throughout my childhood, which wasn't all that long ago. And now we're in a scenario where words are considered violence and violence is excused. And we saw that so much earlier in this week with Van Jones, who called out Charlie, but also said that the stabber in the the North Carolina train was hurting. It was hurt people. This man is hurting. And that's where his mind goes. And I think he's reflective of the left. I don't mean to pick on just him in this moment. So many people have said horrible things like that in the past, and so many people have said horrible things about Charlie in the past. But his is just the most recent. So don't think he's alone. He's emblematic, where people try to manufacture excuses for why people on the left are allowed to commit acts of violence because that is seen as a resistance. I'll tell you, one of my common refrains, as I point out when I was on the UC Berkeley campus, which was occasionally violent when a conservative speaker would come to campus. Recall 10 years or so ago when Milo Yiannopoulos tried to give a speech and they burned down the whole town. It was even wall-to-wall coverage on CNN. Even CNN was forced to cover it. That there was this normalization that conservative speech is violence and liberal violence is protected speech. And that's the era that we need to exit immediately. It's gotten completely out of control, and this is the week where it should be cemented in people, but it really should have been cemented in Butler, where there are so many people who rushed to the keyboard to type in that it was just one guy, just one crazy guy, Thomas Matthew Crooks. He's the only guy who did it. We have no idea what he was reading, what he was thinking, what sort of inputs went into a guy who's capable of that, or why not enough was done to protect President Trump. You think of this for example after example in recent memory, where you see a element of left-wing violence and people try to come after the way conservatives are portraying it. Think of any of these transgender shooters that are taking place, where there's a rush to try to portray, as they did with Gavin Newsom, making fun of the children, essentially mocking the children who are praying, as a trans shooter tried to gun them down gun down many of them in a Minnesota church just a couple of weeks ago. The element where our media feels as though they need to come up with a justification for brutal acts of demonic violence against people who are praying, against people who are giving a speech on a campus. We used to be a much more resilient people, where we used to be able to stand up to ideas, to bad ideas. We used to be able to try to defend ourselves. We used to be able to use our speech to express our viewpoint and not have to attack people physically because you don't like what they have to say or how they're praying. And yet, our establishment media, after this happens, they go out and they portray it as though there's some level of excuse. Maybe the victim is really the attacker. The attacker is the victim. Van Jones portrayed the attacker as the victim in North Carolina. Gavin Newsom portrays the attacker as the victim in Minnesota. Now, what will happen here? Will we see more of the same, or will people finally come to their senses and say that that's not appropriate? Charlie stands for a happy warrior ethos that I think Andrew Breitbart would have been very proud of. I don't think Charlie got to know Andrew. He kind of came on board with us right after Andrew passed away. But he always has a smile. He's always encouraging. He really doesn't like even the verbal fisticuffs unless it's absolutely necessary. He tries to present arguments from a point of clarity, from a point of debate, a genuine debater. That's what he is. He's not someone who's here just to throw bombs. That's not the point. Figuratively speaking, of course. And to be with him, you can't help but feel inspired about what to do with your life. And that's what he's all about. He's exciting to be around because of that. And that, I think, is really the threat that he has to the left. It's not that what he says is completely unique or that people haven't said it before or that a energetic, young, good-looking guy could say stuff. We've had that. But it's his infectious love of country, love of God, and his fearlessness and his ability to present it, to go into the belly of the beast, to go to these campuses, to go to where the left resides and say, I will take all of you on, and you guys come and beat me. Even if that means I don't have a good day and it goes viral online and people make fun of me. It's all good. It's all good. It's all what this country was essentially supposed to be all about. That's why the First Amendment is the First Amendment.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.